everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Megan, and for those of you that are new here, last year I launched my own brand, all utilizing the print-on-demand business model, and I grew that to over 6 figures of revenue. And now I post content about how I did that, any tips, tricks, and hacks for those of you that were like me, wanting to start your own business, had no idea how to do so, but hopefully I can provide some guidance onto how to do that and how to be successful. And along that vein, I have my own successful business, but I've also done a lot of research into this category. I watch countless videos, I'm constantly reading articles, and today I'm gonna share with you 5 of the most common mistakes I see when beginners are starting their own print-on-demand business, so that way you can avoid those and get started with great momentum. The first one that I wanna highlight is going to be expectation setting, and I think this is an important one to highlight and to start with because I think it's really easy in today's day and age to get a clickbait title of make $100,000 with print on demand, easiest side hustle ever. And what I'm trying to do is bring transparency to that. So while I was able to grow my business to over $100,000 of revenue, that is revenue, that is not profit. If you want a real breakdown of print on demand revenue versus profit, I'll list a link to that in the description below, and I walk through every single one of my criteria for revenue, cost with my print on demand supplier, marketing, all those different types of things. But there needs to be expectation setting when you're going into launching your own business that it's not going to be successful overnight, and it's probably not going to immediately bring you $100,000 of revenue every month. And even if that is revenue, that is not profit. So I think have your wits about you and look inward for expectation setting on what you're really looking to get out of this. When I started my business, I had no idea that I was going to actually be able to create and grow a business to the level that I did, but that also wasn't my expectation. I launched the business because I had some free time, I had some additional expenses that I would love to have covered in my free time, and I had interest in the business model. I thought it would be really cool to launch something, to launch my own brand, to start a little business from home, take advantage of all the things that come from being a small business owner, from tax advantages, and I would see where that went. So I'd say number 1 is expectation setting, and don't come into print on demand, whether you are going to be selling on Etsy or Shopify or whatever, expecting to make $1 million overnight, because that doesn't exist anywhere, and there truly is nothing really is nothing that exists that is passive income unless you're buying a lot of real estate, but even that meant you had to make a lot of money to buy the real estate, so it's not very passive. But expectation setting is the number 1 mistake I see people not doing that they should do to get into print on demand. The second mistake I see people making is not picking a niche. I posted a video a couple weeks ago regarding how to pick a niche, how to use data to pick a niche, and how to drill into that. But that's super important for launching into print on demand. There's a lot of things out there that people could buy, and it's really hard to spread that data over every single type of option. So if you're somebody that wants to get into print on demand, I recommend picking a niche, and that means picking something that is either product specific, so you're either gonna say, hey, I am only selling cutting boards, or making it something be more category or persona based. So you are only going to sell fishing things, or you're only going to sell nurse things, and you can start by launching into that niche and then expand beyond there. You don't want to get too big too soon, because then you're not able to keep up with all the trends and you get a little bit disconnected from the consumer. So pick a niche that is data driven and is ideally something that you have passion about, so that way it makes it easier to stay excited as you're launching your own business. The third part is going to be not using data, and that was touched on a little bit with picking a niche, but there's tons of free options out there for getting data. I'm constantly posting additional content about how to utilize the free data that exists across the internet to make your business successful. So if you haven't followed along and subscribed, please do that now. But utilize the data that you have, and that could be, at first, you don't have any data on what's selling in your shop, but utilize the trends that you're seeing across the internet. If you go onto Etsy, or if you go onto Google Shopping, or if you go onto TikTok, you're gonna see what's popular in the space. And you can also utilize free tools like Google Trends or Printify reports or Etsy trend reports to start to get a flavor for what's popular in the space. And then when you actually start making sales, you can start to utilize your own data to decide where do you want to double down. If you start seeing that a certain design is performing well, you could spin that off into other different product categories. If you start to see that people are giving certain feedback, utilize that to make your products better. And by continuing to iterate based off of the data that you're seeing, that is going to help you be successful with print on demand. The fourth flaw that I constantly see is not focusing on the consumer whatsoever. Now, e-commerce is still a business where you are trying to create a product that fits the needs of a consumer. And that could be across t-shirts, candles, bags, sweatshirts, all types of different things. But that's only the first step. Creating the product is something that is very important, but you are also running a business, and so you have to continue to think about the customer throughout that entire journey. So that means think about how the customer is going to find your product. Are they going to first click onto your mock-ups? Have a lot of care that you put into your mock-ups and your item descriptions and your item listings, or if you're launching on Shopify, spend some time building out that website to make it user-friendly, so that way it's easier for the customer to choose to buy your products. You also should focus on good customer service. So with Etsy print on demand, or if you're utilizing Shopify, you are still the person that is handling customer service. And while I don't get a lot of feedback of poor products or delivery issues or anything like that, ultimately, if those issues come up, that is on you to fix, and it is important and it goes a long way to handle those issues promptly and work with the customer on the best type of resolution. I love being an Etsy seller because it comes with a lot of protections involved with being an Etsy seller. And so, for example, if I ship out a product and it shows as tracking and it shows as delivered, but the customer actually doesn't receive that product because it got lost in the mail or stolen or whatever, Etsy's really good about, and as long as it shows delivered and you've done your part as a seller, they will refund that seller and you get to keep the money that you spent as well. So it's a win-win situation. And so think about the platforms where you might be more comfortable taking that leap and being able to do what's right for the customer always, because that's going to go a lot longer in your reviews and will ultimately mean that most people will have a good experience and likely come back a second time. It's also important to pick products and suppliers that have a good customer experience. If you are picking a print provider like Printify, they guarantee that if something makes it to your customer and it's damaged or misprinted or anything like that, they will reship that product out. So making sure that you're picking the right people on your team to fulfill these orders is a huge part of thinking about the customer. Try to pick quality products. Whenever I can, I am ordering a sample to just make sure that I like the look and feel and that my descriptions are accurately representing that product. And that will also just mean that you build trust amongst your consumers. The fifth reason that I see people not succeed is that they just give up too soon, which is they're forcing themselves to fail. It's not even like a failure and it's not even a mistake. It's just they only put in small amounts of effort, and when it got a little bit harder or they didn't immediately see success, they gave up and said, hey, I'm gonna move on to the next one. So that is a mistake that I see made, is this is a business model where it's reliant on data, it's reliant on relationships. It takes time for you to learn what's working and what's not, even though I'm constantly giving free tips on how to jumpstart that. But that is one area where it's gonna take a little bit of time, and you need to be okay with the learnings and the ebbs and flows that come along with that. So a lot of shops take months and months before they're actually at a good groove where they've worked up good momentum and they're starting to feel those $1,000 5-figure months. And so it's definitely possible, but going back to point one, expectation setting, don't expect that it's going to be successful overnight. Be willing to put in that effort, and ultimately it is the people that are withstanding it and continuing to stick with it and constantly iterating that are going to be the most successful, which if it was easy, everybody would do it and everybody would be making $1 million, but that's not the case. So don't give up, just keep trying. And then the bonus tip that I'm gonna throw in there, which isn't necessarily a mistake, but it's just a way to expand the business and to continue that momentum, is you're not building out multiple sales channels. I was somebody where I launched initially on Etsy and Shopify, and I decided I was going to prioritize Etsy. and go harder on that sales platform because that's where I was seeing more traction. And I think that's the right move. When you first start, it's probably a very good idea to utilize one channel, master that channel, understand your consumers, and then once you feel like you've got more momentum there, you can pivot and add on another channel, whether that be Amazon FBA or Merch by Amazon or Shopify, and trying to bring a lot of that in-house. I think it's really important to build multiple channels because we all know that something could happen. There could be a new policy that comes out, or there could be a recession that happens and it's harder to find people on different channels. So if you can have different avenues for that revenue, that will help kind of take the pressure off of one channel after you've already learned that channel to then start diversifying your learnings across different platforms. There you have it. Those are my 5 to 6 big mistakes that I see beginners make when first launching print on demand. Let's avoid them. We are all in this together. If this was helpful whatsoever, please like and subscribe for more content like this. I'll be posting videos weekly about how to make it rain.